Welcome to video number 2 in the two video series workout videos for the strength and conditioning class. My name is Hesskew. Today we're going to be taking you through a more explosive workout than last time. Prior to this workout, we had the kind of hypertrophy strength workout, so that was going to be focused more on muscle building, strength building, really slow control, taking control of the weight. This one, we're still going to have control of the weight. It's just going to be a little bit faster movements throughout most of these workouts today. We're going to be focused on building explosivity, power, quickness, agility, speed. There's going to be some running towards the end, some agility work towards the end where we get some cones out and stuff like that. We're going to start the workout off with a little general warm-up first. We'll walk a little bit on the treadmill. We're going to do that for 3 minutes, and then we're going to move on to some just more general dynamic warm-ups, and then we'll hop into our specific warm-ups for today's workouts. We're going to be getting into some cleans, going to be getting into some snatches maybe. I'm going to be getting into some running, like I said, and some agility drills. So I hope y'all have a good time, as will I, and I'll see y'all in the warm-up.
All right. Sorry about the background noise in that last clip, guys. The gym was pretty busy when I first started recording this. That's why I'm doing the voiceover for pretty much the entirety of this video. But here we're starting with a brisk walk. I like to start with a brisk walk before I get into my jogs. Even as a young man, I like to start with the walk. I feel like it helps me get into the jog a little bit better, more comfortably. Right now we're not really focused on stretching anything. It's just more of just getting the blood flowing, getting those muscles activated, getting ready for today's workout, guys. It's a long one. The last video we focused on more hypertrophy strength based program. This one's gonna be more of an agility, speed, power based program, which tends to strain the cardiovascular system a little bit more in my experience. So I hope everybody's ready for it today. I know I am. So here we're getting into our little jog, guys, getting the blood flowing, getting those muscles activated before our general and specific warm-ups. I'll give you a little sneak peek into the general warm-ups. Our general warm-ups are going to start with some hip circles, some arm circles, and then we'll probably finish with some duck walks and some high knees. After that, we'll get into our specific warm-ups, which I won't spoil all of, but there'll be some jumping involved. So here we're just continuing that jog, guys. Keep that heart rate up. Not too fast, guys. We're not sprinting here. This isn't a race. We're not really trying to challenge ourselves here too much. This is more so, like I said, about getting the blood flowing, getting those muscles activated, and just getting the mind right, getting the mind ready for the workout ahead of us, getting ready to attack the day, guys. I hope everybody has a good workout. I know I will, and I'll catch y'all on the first warm up. Alright, guys, so beginning our general warm-ups here, we're going to start with some hip circles. This is going to be a pretty straightforward exercise, guys. You're going to put the leg that we're stretching out to about a 45-degree angle, and you're going to spin that leg clockwise, counterclockwise, really in any direction of your choosing, whichever feels good, whichever feels like gives you the best stretch. This is going to be a great stretch for those hip joints, excuse me, and then also the posterior and anterior of the leg. This will be good for all that. As I'm going to be telling you with all these warm-ups, guys, you're going to perform these in a slow and controlled fashion. This is to promote blood flow, promote less injuries. It's just better practice to start slow and then work up the intensity as the workout continues, guys. You don't want to start it off sprinting and then end with a jog. So we're going to start jogging and end with a sprint, guys. So keep going with the hip circles. I'll catch y'all in the next warm-up. Alright guys, so moving on to our next general warm-up. This is going to relate very heavily to our first warm-up. It's basically just going to be the same thing but translated to our arms instead of our legs. So instead of warming up our hip joint, this is going to be warming up our shoulder joint, which will be getting a lot of usage today during our cleans, jerks, and snatch movements. This warm-up, it's going to be great for the shoulders, like I said. It's also going to be good for the arms as well. General mistakes, probably the most common mistake I see with this one is going to be going way too fast. I see a lot of people flailing their arms around. Yes, you will warm your arms up, however, you are going to be more prone to injury when doing that. So I recommend just doing it at a nice, slow, and controlled pace, like I said before, guys. But that's going to be about it for the arm circles. I'll see y'all in the next warm-up. Alrighty guys, now moving on to probably our most embarrassing looking warm-up of the day, the duck walk. However embarrassing, it is very useful, guys, so don't mind that. But with this exercise, guys, you're really going to want to make sure you're keeping those hips down. Nice, slow, and controlled movement through the whole thing. This isn't a race, guys. You're going to want to use this as a stretch, which we are in this case here. With this, guys, you're going to want to make sure you're opening those hips up, stretching out those calf muscles, those thigh muscles. This will be a great warm-up for all those, including the knee joints, the hip joints, and the ankle joints, so long as you're performing it in the correct fashion as I'm doing here. Like you see, guys, I'm staying nice and low, keeping it nice and slow. We're not racing anybody here. But anyways, I'll get out of the way. On to the next warm-up. Alright, y'all, next up is the high knee. This is a pretty self-explanatory exercise. As the name says, guys, you're going to get those knees high. You saw in the beginning there I used my hands as kind of a guide to let myself know if I was getting my knees high enough. Remember, guys, just like all our other warm-ups, this is not going to be a race. Perform these in a nice, controlled fashion. This one is going to be a little bit faster than the other ones. We're going to be really getting that blood pumping here. I'm showing you a little angle from the side of what it should look like. Even those look a little low. After reviewing this film, but should be getting a little bit higher than I was doing there. But keep it up, guys. Keep up the energy. Moving on to the next warm-up. Now we have the A steps. Excuse me. These are going to be the C steps. So with these C steps, guys, you're going to take these nice, slow, and controlled steps, just like all the other warm-ups. With these, though, we're going to be opening up those hips on every step. So I'm going to be walking back here. See how I'm stepping up and then out, opening up those hip joints, just like majority of the other warm-ups have been focused on. I'm sure y'all have noticed that the hips are going to play a key role in today's workout, as will most of the lower body. In fact, we'll be utilizing the entire body in today's workout. But anyways, with these C steps, guys, you're going to really make sure you want to get that hip out. That is the main factor to this warm-up. Without that, you're not getting much of the benefit, if any of it. So with these guys, nice, slow, and controlled steps, open those hips up. And I'll see you on the next warm-up. Alright, so here we are getting into the more specific warm-ups. So here we're going to be focusing on creating power and explosivity through jumping with our stationary vertical jumps. So now our heart rate's elevated. We are now putting that to practice with these jumps, and this will be relating to our workout today as well. So with these guys, you're going to want to make sure you catch your breath between each jump, y'all. We're not racing to see how many jumps we can get in a minute. We are simply doing a few here to get the blood pumping, get the muscles exploding, getting them ready to explode in today's workout. So with these guys, you're going to want to make sure you're loading the hips, loading the knees, keeping those arms back in that ready position, ready to throw them up to get as high as you possibly can. And that's really going to be the goal here, guys. With each of these jumps, you're going to want to focus on getting as high as you possibly can, creating as much force as you possibly can in the shortest amount of time. But again, guys, this is not a race, so we're not going to be doing these in a very intense way. That is the difference between a warm-up and a workout. So here we're finishing up these, and I will catch y'all in the next warm-up. Alright guys, continuing on our specific warm-ups, here we have the broad jumps. So with these broad jumps, guys, you're going to want to make sure we are staying nice and controlled. As you see here, I almost take a tumble a few times. I have to kind of control myself here. The floor at this gym that I'm at is a little bit slippery. Hopefully the gym you're at is going to be a little bit less slippery, so you won't be slipping and sliding all over the place, as that can lead to injuries. But with this, guys, same as the standing stationary vertical jump, you are going to be trying to create as much power and explosive force as you possibly can in the shortest amount of time with each of these jumps. Again, it's not a race, though. We're not trying to see how many jumps we can get in a minute, so you don't worry about the time in between them. Really just focus on the power you're creating with each jump. Put intent behind each one. Make sure they all count. And keep up the energy, guys. We are almost done with the warm-up and ready to begin the workout. This is actually the last warm-up for the day. So keep it up, guys. Catch y'all in the workout. Alright guys, so getting into today's workout, our first exercise is going to be the Olympic split jerk. This is going to be one of 6 jerk variations that we'll be doing in today's workout. This one, I chose to start with this one just because it is the standard. I would say this is what is most commonly used in competition. There are a lot of competitors in the Olympics that will use different versions of this to achieve the same effect. However, this is the most common. With this one, guys, you're gonna want to quickly explode your feet, putting your dominant foot in front. I'm left-handed, so my left foot goes forward, and your less dominant foot in back. The less one is going to act as kind of a balancer, while the more dominant foot is going to kind of act as your power foot and stabilizer. So with this, just like everything else today, it's going to be a quick and explosive movement, guys. The bar is going to be going from resting on your shoulders to up in the upright overhead position in a very fast manner of time. So finishing up with this, we'll be moving on to our next variation now. Alrighty guys, so our next variation up is going to be called the push jerk. This is going to be a very strict variation of the jerk exercise. So instead of doing any jumping motion, any squatting motion, your feet are going to basically stay planted the entire time. This one, guys, common mistakes would really just be lifting your feet off the ground. There's going to be none of that. You can maybe dip a little bit like I did just there, but that would be about it on the push jerk, guys. Next up, we'll have the power jerk with a little bit more movement. But this one, guys, just make sure we're staying real nice and tight in that core. Make sure we're exploding that upper body, pushing that bar overhead, and keep it up the energy, guys. We're moving on to our third exercise now. Alrighty, so our next exercise up, like I said, is going to be the power jerk. So with the power jerk, guys, like I said, it's going to be a little bit more movement intensive than the push jerk in the last exercise was. So with this one, guys, the main difference is going to be parts, if not all of your feet leaving the ground during this exercise. So you see here, I'm using a lighter weight, so my feet aren't quite taking flight. They're not quite getting off the ground, but I am lifting my heel on these. So with this one, guys, you're going to want to use the momentum of your feet to push that bar up overhead. Typically, you can load this exercise with heavier weight than the push jerk just because the allowance of more movement. But same as the other ones, guys. It's going to be a quick and explosive movement, getting that bar from resting on the shoulders to the overhead position. Next up, we have the squat jerk. So the squat jerk, guys, it's going to be just like the prior two movements, except with more allowance of movement. So I think at this point y'all will be picking up on a theme here with these. I kind of chose to give us a little bit more movement, allowance of movement with each of these variations, progressing the lift as we get further warmed up. So here we're going to be performing the squat jerk. Like I said, it's a pretty straightforward exercise. Sounds just like the name. With this one on the elevation of the bar, you're going to dip those hips down, squatting closer to the floor or the earth, whatever you're standing on. And in doing so, you're going to be increasing the distance from the bar to your shoulders, which will put you in a better position to get that bar overhead, which typically will allow you to load heavier weight on this one as well. Next up, guys, we're going to be moving on to a kettlebell variation. So prior to this, we were using the barbells like y'all saw. However, now we're going to be moving on to the kettlebells. I like to finish with these just because this requires a little bit more stabilization than the barbell does, in my opinion, just because the weight is lopsided. You're only carrying it on one side of your body. But here we're going to begin with some kettlebell split jerks. The kettlebell split jerk is going to be just like the barbell split jerk. You're going to be leading with that dominant foot, so I'm left-handed, so my left foot will be going forward. It doesn't really matter which side of the body the weight is on. I typically will keep my feet the same. So here you see I'm switching. As I was saying, though, guys, you're going to put that dominant foot forward and that less dominant foot backwards. That'll act more as your balancer. Remember, guys, we're not going to be racing here. It's not about how fast we can get the set done. However, we are not going to be taking too long between rest periods because we are working out now. This is no longer a warm-up, so make sure we keep the intensity up, guys. Keep it up. But like I said, with everything else, this is going to be a quick and explosive movement. You're going to spread those legs apart real quick, dip those hips down, and shoot that arm up as fast as you can, all in sequence. And next up, we'll be moving on to another kettlebell variation of the jerk. However, this is going to be a push jerk. So just like with the barbell, guys, it's going to be the same as the other jerk, just with a little bit less movement allowed. Reason being I chose this last is because I find the push jerk to be a little bit more difficult than the full jerk. Just because the stabilization aspect of it, the core gets a little bit more engaged whenever you're not really dipping your hips as much and using your legs as much. But keep strong, guys. Keep that core tight. Make sure you're breathing in through your stomach, not through your chest, stabilizing that spine between each and every rep. And again, guys, quick and explosive movements here all around. See, I'm switching sides. And common mistakes, guys, I would see most often is picking too heavy of a weight, not being able to control that weight. Really put yourself at risk of a shoulder injury here. The shoulder is a very strong joint, however, a very delicate joint due to how many moving parts is in it. So make sure we're taking care of them, guys, not overstraining them with too heavy of weights here. And remember, guys, it's not a race. Just make sure we're keeping that intensity up. However, perform each rep with maximal intensity. Get them done as quick as you can. And I'll see you on the next exercise. Alrighty, so moving on into the next modality, we have the snatch modality. So beginning with the snatch modality, guys, we're going to be starting with a snatch pull. So as you see here, we're going to be getting it from the ground up to about waist level as fast as possible. Once it gets there, we're then going to push our hips forward, shrug our shoulders in the snatching motion, almost as if we were going to put that weight overhead. However, we're not. This is just going to be the pull portion of the movement, so we get that speed down, get that focused in, dialed in before we move on to the fuller portion of the movement, guys. Just like everything else, y'all are going to be performing this in a very fast fashion. However, in between reps, make sure you're tightening your core, catching your breath, making sure your body is stable and you're not causing any injuries, unneeded injuries during these sets. But again, guys, nice explosive behavior here through all these workouts. Keep up the energy, y'all. We're going to be moving on to another snatch variation. This is going to be the snatch pull and jump. So basically it's going to be the first step of the last exercise with an added jump at the end. Same common mistakes, guys. Just make sure we are keeping that grip nice and wide, snatch grip, engaging those shoulders, engaging those traps. Make sure we're catching our breath between sets, guys. You really want to stabilize that core, especially with any of these pulling movements from the ground. You're putting that spine at risk. So make sure we're stabilizing that core between each rep. Make sure we are performing each of these reps fast and explosive. The point of the extra jump is basically to kind of pound in that explosive mindset, pound in the explosive behavior, let the body know that we're exploding and that the movement doesn't stop just at the top. There's going to be more of that. All right, guys. So now moving on to our hang snatch. So this is going to be the same setup as the other two guys. You're going to make sure you get a nice wide snatch grip on the bar wherever comfortable. I find my pointer finger on the outside of the furthest notch is typically the most comfortable for me. So with this one, guys, you're going to be setting up just like the normal snatch. However, once you get through that first pull, you're not going to be returning to the ground again in between reps. The bar is going to come back to the hips after the completed rep. And with this one, guys, you're basically going to be doing the top end of the snatch. So you're going to dip down a little bit, dip those hips back, and then upon the completion of the rep, you're going to be pushing those hips forward, lifting those arms up, getting that bar overhead. It won't be a necessarily pushing way you get that overhead. It'll be more of a swing overhead that's how the snatch is performed. Moving on to our next exercise, guys. We have the full-on snatch. So this is going to be the full version of the lifts prior. Before this, we were just progressing the lift. Here, we're going to be completing the full lift. So with this, you're going to be resetting to the ground each and every time, guys. Same snatch grip as before. The arms are going to bend a little bit on the pulling portion of the lift, getting that bar overhead. However, for the most part, the arms are going to stay locked out. Remember, y'all, push those hips back. And then upon exploding right there, you're going to push those hips forward, pulling those arms up and getting that bar overhead all in one complete explosive motion. As you see there, I don't have great lower body flexibility, or else I would say get a little bit lower in the squat, but other than that, those look like pretty good snatches to me. Alright, guys, so after our full snatch variation, we are going to be moving on to a snatch and squat. So just like before, the setup is going to be the same. You're going to get the bar, find that grip, normal snatch grip, get comfortable with it. You're going to go lower to the ground, come up, snatch, and then you're going to come down in a squat, doing your best to keep those feet planted fully on the ground, keeping that weight evenly distributed throughout the entire foot, not leaning too far forward or too far back, while also maintaining proper upright body positioning in that snatch movement. So you see here, guys, key aspects to this is going to be core tightness. Make sure you're breathing into the belly between each rep, keeping that core tight. Make sure we're not having a loose core, avoiding back injuries at all costs. Back injuries are the last thing we want to do as an athlete. But yeah, guys, quick and explosive just like everything else. Make sure we're not being too sluggish with it. Moving on to our next workout, we have arguably the most difficult version of the snatch. This is going to be the pause snatch. So same setup, guys. Snatch grip, reset to the ground, pause, snatch. It's a little hard to catch. You're going to go to the ground, pause, snatch. The pause, guys, during that pause, your hips are going to be semi-engaged. They're going to be quite fully engaged in the full pushed back position, and they're also not going to be pushed fully forward. So the pause is going to occur almost halfway through that pushing motion of getting that bar to the top right there, almost like right below the hip. This one, guys, common mistakes would definitely be not emphasizing that pause enough. Make sure we're emphasizing that pause. As you see there, I take almost a full second before I extend that snatch, but quick and explosive just like everything else, guys. Moving on to our next modality, we have the Olympic cleans. So with the cleans, I elected to start off with a kettlebell clean just to kind of get a more unilateral warm-up going. So here we got just a traditional kettlebell clean. There's no jerking in this. It's just going to be the clean portion. So in between each rep, we're going to reset to the ground. Fast explosive movement up, standing up, pushing those hips forward and flipping that arm over, getting that kettlebell to the other side of our arm, catching it in the kind of elbow pit. Here, guys, common mistakes would be taking it too slow, taking too much time in between each rep, or just not doing it in one fluid motion. I've seen guys often they'll pick it up and then kind of do like a power clean with it. That's not the exercise here. It's going to be one fluid motion, getting that kettlebell from the ground up into that elbow pocket. So next we'll be moving on to the other side now. That was the right side. Here we have the left side. Same thing as before, guys. Common mistakes would just be performing this movement a little slow, performing it a little sluggish. Remember, today we're focusing on explosivity, so make sure we're being explosive with all these movements. And keep up the energy, guys. I'll catch y'all in the next workout. Alrighty, guys, so after wrapping up those kettlebell cleans, we will now be moving on to the barbell version of the cleans. So here we'll be starting off with the initial portion of the lift, which is just going to be the clean pull. So just like the snatch pull, guys, you're going to find your clean grip. This time it's going to be a little bit closer than the snatch grip. You're going to be doing a quick explosive pull up from the ground. Once you reach about hip level, you're going to be pushing those hips forward, pulling those arms and shoulders up, getting those nice and tight. And remember, same as before, guys, quick explosive movements. Keep that core tight. Make sure you're avoiding back injuries at all costs. And keep that chest up. Keep those hips down. And remember, guys, be explosive. Today we're focusing on explosivity. And explosivity will indeed be used in this workout here. So here is going to be the clean pull and jump. So same as before, guys, you're going to be pulling that weight from the ground up to the hip level. Once it reaches about hip level, you're going to be implementing a jump, extending those feet, extending those Achilles tendons. Contracting those Achilles tendons and pushing yourself away from the ground upon the bar arriving at the hip. So common mistakes with this, guys, would be just shooting your butt up too fast, keeping that head down, keeping your chest down. Remember, guys, keep that chest up, keep that back in a nice neutral position. Make sure we're bracing, breathing into the belly, keeping a strong core, and remaining explosive through all these movements, guys. All right, so it looks like we got one left here. So pull, jump. All right, remain explosive, y'all. Moving on to the next workout. So next up here we have this is going to be the hang clean. So hang cleans, guys, same as the hang snatch, is going to be one pull at the beginning. Once you reach hip level, you'll be doing a clean, and then after that, once you reset, you'll be resetting at the hip. So the bar will not touch the ground again until the end of the set. So make sure, even with this, we're keeping a nice neutral spine. That would definitely be the biggest mistake, is catching this bar on the fall with your spine. That is not good, guys. Remember to keep the tension away from your spine as much as you possibly can. So here, nice strong core. You're going to be breathing. Once that bar reaches your hips, you're going to perform the nice explosive movement of pushing those hips forward, pulling with those arms, getting that bar to shoulder level. You want it all one fluid movement. You don't want it all choppy and mixed up and kind of do one before the other. That's what leads to injuries, and that's what leads to non-explosive behavior. And right now we're focusing on explosivity. So here, guys, we have the power clean. I'm sure we've all done these if you played high school football. I know in high school football, especially in Texas, this is a very popular exercise. So unlike the Olympic clean, you will not be performing a full squat with each of these. This is going to be just kind of get it up how you can with as little or as much movement as you can without performing a full squat. Specifically, though, you're going to have kind of like a 45-degree bend in your knees. Your legs will come off, your feet will come off the ground for a second. Legs will spread a little bit. And kind of a half squat will be performed, getting those hips lower to the ground and those shoulders lower to the ground as well. While doing that, you're also going to perform the fluid movement of getting that bar to your shoulders. Remember, guys, don't have it choppy. One nice, explosive, smooth movement. And last up for this modality, we have the clean and squat. So this is going to be same as the power clean, except for after the power clean portion of it, we're going to be performing a separate squat. So with this, you're going to be doing the power clean, boom, get it up, nice, clean, smooth movement, and then a front squat while the bar is in that front rack position. Ideally, that bar is going to be closer, if not resting on your shoulders. However, my wrist flexibility does not allow me to do so at this moment. So you see there, my wrists kind of take most of the strain. This did not feel good on the wrist. I do not recommend this form. However, this is as best I could do at the moment. So make sure this is one nice smooth explosive movement, guys. Getting it from the ground up to the hips, boom, pop. Then you're going to lower that weight down and squat up in a nice fast movement. But yep, that is going to be it for this modality. I'll see y'all in the next.